Hello everyone, welcome to WebDev Warrior. In today's video, we're going to build an amazing portfolio website using the latest version of Next.js, which is Next.js 16. We're also going to use TypeScript, Tailwind CSS, and ShareCN UI. So let me show you a demo of this web application. So if I reload the page, we have the animation in our portfolio. You can see we have our navigations, buttons, and here we have the typewrite effect, which looks awesome. And you can see we have a gradient type background that looks amazing. Then we have this two button. So then if I start scrolling, you can see we have our about section with animation and the section looks premium. Then we have the statistics section. Then we have the skill section with beautiful animation and you can see it looks amazing. So the skill section have hover animation also, hover effect. Then we have this project section with scroll animation. Then we have this amazing experience and education ladder type design, which is very common and very premium looking in portfolio website. And you can see we have the scroll animation also here, and it looks just amazing. Then we have this client review slider, which looks amazing, where you can slide from left to right or right to left. And it has the auto sliding feature, so you can see it slide automatically after some time. Then we have this gate in touch section with hover effect with this beautiful form, and then the social icons, and finally we have this simple footer. Then here you have a button. So if you click here, it will go to the so it's a scroll to top button. Then you can see this project looks amazing. And another most important and cool feature is we have the dark mode and light mode. So this is the light mode version. So if you click here, it will go to the dark mode. Boom, you can see in dark mode it also looks fantastic. We have this amazing gradient background and we have these buttons. So if I scroll, you can see that every sections also looks amazing in the dark mode. So it looks awesome. Then another cool thing is this portfolio is fully mobile responsive. So if I inspect and select a mobile device, let's select an iPhone device. Here you can see everything fit perfectly. Now we have this menu. By clicking this, the sidebar will open and close, and you can see how smoothly it opens and close the sidebars. And if you scroll, you can see every section just fit perfectly in the mobile view, no overflow and nothing. It looks just amazing. So we have this ladder description and this client review. Then we have this contact section and the footer. Let's check on the other device like iPad device. So in the iPad, you can see it also fit perfectly. And I will add the live link of this project in the description so you can check it out. So you can see everything fit perfectly. And so this is the portfolio that we are going to build today, and we're going to build it from scratch. I'm going to teach you how you can initialize a Next.js project with ShareCN UI and Tailwind CSS. I'm going to teach you how you can structure your folders and files. I'm going to teach you how you can create reusable component, how you can use TypeScript in your project, how you can work with the third-party libraries, and all of the cool stuff. And then finally, I'm going to teach you how you can deploy your project in the live server in Vercel. So there's a lot of things that you are going to learn from this tutorial. So I encourage you to watch the full tutorial for better understanding. And the source code of this project and the starter file of this project will be given in the description. You can check it out. So, without wasting any time, let's start building this amazing portfolio website. Now, let's set up our project. So first, I'm going to create a new folder inside my PC and I'm going to name it portfolio YT. And then I'm going to open this with my Visual Studio Code. And then here, I'm going to open a new terminal. And first, we are going to initialize a latest version of Next.js by using npx create next app at the rate latest, and then I'm going to use a dot slash so that all the packages are installed in this portfolio YT folder. Then I'm going to hit enter, and it will ask you to select. So here you have three options. One is to use the recommended defaults that is offered by the Next.js, or you can reuse your previous setting, the setting you use your previous project, or you can customize on your own. So I usually suggest you to use this default settings. So I'm going to use this and hit enter. So this will install all the necessary packages that is needed to initialize a Next.js project. So let's wait some time to complete the installation. The installation is completed. Now we're going to install ShareCN UI in our project. So if I go to the browser and search for ShareCN UI and go to their website, here you can see they have different types of component that you can use. So I'm going to click here to get started, and then I'm going to choose the framework Next.js, and then I'm going to copy their npm script npx ShareCN at the rate latest in it, and I'm going to paste it here and hit enter. So we're going to use the neutral color, so I'm going to hit enter. The installation is completed. Next, here we're going to add a button component. So if I go to their components and if I go to their buttons, here you can see they have different types of button that we can use. So I'm going to add the button here. So copy this and then add it to our project, because we are going to use the ShareCN UI button a few places. So it installs successfully. Now let's check what file and folder it generated. So here we have tsconfig.json. We do not need to do anything here. Readme file, then post CSS, package.json, package log.json, next config. Here you can write your Next.js related configuration. For now, we do not need to do anything. Then we have this type file, ESLint file, git ignore, then the public folder, node module, a lib file with utilities. This is generated because of the ShareCN. Then we have this component folder, and inside this component we have a UI folder where we have the button.tsx. This is the button that we are at here, the ShareCN button. Here you can see they have different types of code, and the best thing is you can change the design here. If you check here the variant, it using the default variant, you can change the styling of this variant, or you can create your own variant here. For example, let's say my button, and then add your styling. So that's how you can use your custom button also, but we're going to use the default one for this project. Then we have this app folder. This is the main directory. Here we have the fab icon. Then we have the global.css with some generated code. We do not need to do anything here. We can keep this as it is. Then we have this layout.tsx. Layout is the overall wrapper of our project. So if I give you an example, here you can see we have our children. So if I add a navbar at the top, and then if I add a footer at the bottom, then this navbar and footer will be available in all the pages that we are going to create in this project. So this layout is wrapping our overall project. So we are going to work in this layout a little later. Then we have this page.tsx. So this is the main page. When you go to the localhost 3000, this page will appear to the screen. So for now, I'm going to remove everything from here, and I'm going to use RAFC, a shortcut, to generate a component boilerplate, and I'm going to name it homepage. So if you're wondering how I use this shortcut, so to use this shortcut, you need to install an extension. The extension you need to install is this one, ES7 React Redux React Native Snippet. By installing this package, you can use this shortcut. So this will be our homepage. Now here I'm going to check two things. One is if our Tailwind CSS is working, and the second is our shared scene working properly or not. So here inside this tip, I'm going to use a p tag with, let's say, testing Tailwind, and then we're going to use a button component from the shared scene that we installed or added previously. And here let's say check shared scene. Let's add some padding here. So if I use class name padding 6, and here let's add some tailwind classes also. So text 7xl, and let's say text gray, or let's say text green 700. And for the button, let's use a variant of, let's use the default one. Let's use the size large. Now we're going to run our project using npm run dev, and then I'm going to open the browser, and I'm going to use localhost 3000. Now you can see we have our large text and we have our button also. That means our Tailwind CSS and Sharesian works perfectly. So let's go to our project. So I'm going to remove all of this. Just keep home page and also remove this because we do not need it. This is just for the testing. And let's remove the button from here. That's it. Next, what I'm going to do is in the public, I'm going to create a folder called images. And here I'm going to copy some of the images that we are going to use in this project. And don't worry, these images will be attached to the starter file, and the starter file is in the description. So please check out the description for the starter file with these images. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. Sorry, not in the public folder, but inside the images. Yes, we are going to move it in the images folder. So these are some of the images that we are going to use in this project. That's it. Then what I'm going to do is, for icons, we are going to use Lucid icon that is available with the shared UI. But also I'm going to install a icon package which is React icon. So I'm going to use npm I React icons. So these are install React icons in our project, and we can use the icons from React icons also. So that's it. Next, we are going to configure our metadata and font in our layout.tsx. Here you can see that we have some default font, but we're not going to use it. And here we're going to import some font from our next font Google. So I'm going to import the inter font, and here I'm going to use a constant font, and I'm going to use the inter font. And inside this, first I'm going to use the font weight. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. And then we're going to use a subset, and the subset will be Latin. That's it. Next, here I'm going to use font dot class. That's it. Next, we are going to configure this metadata. The metadata is very important for SEO purposes. So for the title, I'm going to use my name, and let's say date portfolio. And here I'm going to use something like portfolio website using Next.js 16. You can use your own title and description here. So now if I go to our project, so here at the top you can see that my name and the portfolio, that means our metadata is working. And here if I inspect and if I zoom it and if I hover here, you can see that the font is 16 pixel inter, and that means our font is also working in our project. So we successfully configure our font and the metadata. That's it. Next, in the component folder, I'm going to create a helper folder and I'm going to create a home folder. The helper folder is for the helper component and the home folder is for the home page component. So in the home folder, I'm going to create a home.tsx and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And here for the class, I'm going to use overflow hidden. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it in our page. So here in the home page, I'm going to use the home component that will render all of our homepage related content. So the idea is we are going to add all our homepage related component in our home component, like for example the hero section, the services section, the about section, and we are adding this in our home page component. The home page will render the home component. That's how we are going to make our home page component neat and clean. So this is our home component. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text home. So this is it for our setup. Our setup is completed. Next, I'm going to teach you the routings in Next.js. So let's go to the page.tsx. So this is the home page. So when you go to the localhost 3000, this page appear. But what if you want to create other pages like the about page, or you want to create some nested pages like slash about slash team page, or you want to create the dynamic pages like slash about slash team and then the team member's name. So how you can do all of this routing in Next.js, now I'm going to teach you this. So for that, I'm going to create three different types of routing. First, we have the localhost 3000. So this is the home page. Then I'm going to teach you how you can create other pages like about page or services page. So for example, we're going to use localhost 3000 slash about. Then let's say you want to create a nested route like localhost 3000 slash about slash team. And finally, let's say you want to create a dynamic page like localhost 3000 slash about slash team slash, let's say, team member name. So you want to create all of this. So let's start with this about. So to create a about page, what you need to do is you need to create a folder inside this app folder. And inside this, you need to create a folder and the folder name will be about. So the name you add here will be added after your URL. So if you use about, then this will be localhost 3000 slash about. If you use services, then this one will be localhost 3000 slash services. So we are creating about page, so I'm going to use about. Now inside this folder, you need to create a page.tsx, and it is very important. You need to use this page.tsx, otherwise it will not work. Then I'm going to use RAFC to create a component boilerplate, and let's say about page. And now if I go to the project and slash about and hit enter, And you can see here we have about page. Awesome. So you can see how easy it is to create different pages in Next.js. Now let's go back to the localhost 3000 and let's go to our project. So this is the about page. Now let's say you want to create a nested route using this type of format slash about slash team. So what you need to do is, so you already have about, so localhost 3000 slash about. Next, inside this folder, you have to create a nested folder, and I'm going to name it team. And then I'm going to copy this page.tsx inside this team, and here let's change it to team page, team page, and team page. That's it. So now if I go to our project and if I go to localhost 3000 slash about and then slash team and hit enter, and now you can see we are in the team page. So this is the nested routing. Next, let's say you want to create a dynamic page, something like localhost 3000 slash about slash team. So we already have this part, localhost 3000 slash about slash team. So here inside, now inside this team folder you have to create another folder, but this time we need to use this third bracket, and inside this we have to give a name, for example id, or name the thing we are receiving as a params after the url. For example, it can be John, it can be Jane, or you can use id something like 1 10 13. So for example here I am using the name, that's why I use name here. And then inside this I'm going to create a page.tsx, and let's say rafc to create a component boilerplate and use this dynamic pages. And now if I hit save and go to our project and let's say about slash team slash, let's say John, and if I hit enter, now you can see we are in the dynamic pages. So now what is the advantage of dynamic pages? In the dynamic page dynamic routing, you can use these params and you can fetch the specific information for this person, and this can be dynamic, this can be John, this can be other members of your websites, your teams. And now the question is how you can access this name. So to do that we need to use the params. So we are going to get params and we need to convert this into an async component, because in Next.js 16 the getting the params value is an asynchronous operation. And here I'm going to get the name by await params dot id, and then I'm going to add the name here. And here it complaining because of the TypeScript, but I'm not going to add the TypeScript here because we are going to use the TypeScript in our actual project. So now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I reload the page, so it's not working. So this one will be not the ID because here we use name. We have to name it name. So now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see we have the name John. For example, it can be other pages like JSON. Now if I hit enter, now you can see here we have the text JSON. So this is how the dynamic routing works. So let's go back to the localhost 3000 and then go to our project, and now we don't need this page because we already cover all the routing. So I'm going to delete the about, I'm going to remove it, so it's deleted. And now I hope you have a better understanding how Next.js routing works, how you can create other pages, how you can create nested routing, and how you can create dynamic routing. So this is it for our routings in Next.js. Next, we're going to configure our light mode and dark mode settings. So to implement the light mode and dark mode in our project, we're going to use a package. So the package we are going to use is called Next theme. It's a very popular library for using the dark mode, for creating the dark mode and light mode. So it manage our dark state and light state properly. So I'm going to copy it from here, and then I'm going to paste it here to install Next themes in our project. So it installs successfully. Next, in the component, I'm going to create a folder called HOC for higher order component, and here I'm going to create a provider. So provider.tss, and here I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. Then here we will receive children as a prop, and the children will be a type of React node. React node. That's it. Then inside this, we're going to use theme provider from next theme. So we're going to import theme provider from next theme. And here we will add our children. Now in our theme provider, we're going to pass some props here. So first one is the attributes. So we're going to use class attributes. Next, we're going to use the default theme. The default theme will be the system. So the default theme will be the system theme. For example, if your system is configured for the dark mode, the website will be open in the dark mode, dark view. If your system preference is light, then the website will open in the light mode. So that's why we're using the default theme to system. And we also need to use the enable system. That's it. So this is our provider. Now let's go to the layout.tsx, and here we're going to wrap our children with our provider. So I'm going to use provider from our component, and we're going to wrap our children with it. And here I'm also going to, in the HTML, use a props called suppress hydration warning. That's it. So this is our provider. Next, we need a toggler to toggle our theme from light mode to dark mode or dark mode to light mode. So in the helper, I'm going to create a component called theme toggler .tsx, and here I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And in this component, I'm going to convert it into a client component using use. So now what is this client component and server component? So in Next.js, all the component by default is a server component. And in server component, you cannot use hooks, any kind of hooks, like the use effect hooks or use state hooks. So if you want to use hooks in your component, you need to convert this component into a client component. And you can convert a component into a client component using this use client directive at the top. So that's how you are going to convert a component to a client component. So first I convert this theme toggler component into a client component. Then here I'm going to define some state variable. So const mounted and set mounted. I'm going to use state, and initially this one will be false. Then we're going to import something, and we're going to use theme from our next themes. And here we're going to get our theme, then the set theme and the system theme. That's it. Next, I'm going to use a use effect hook, and then we're going to add an empty dependency array, and inside this I'm going to create a function called mount check, and inside this function I'm going to set our mounted to true, and then I'm going to call the mount check function. That's it. Then we're going to check if the component is not mounted, we're going to return null. Then we are going to find the current theme from our system theme. So the current theme, we're going to check the theme. If the theme is equal to system, if the theme is equal to system, then we will get the system theme. Otherwise, the theme value. That's it. Next, here I'm going to return a button. The button have some class name of padding 2, transition, then width 10, height 10, cursor pointer. So cursor will be pointer, bg will be gray 100, and in the dark mode bg will be gray 800, rounded will be large, flex will be in the column direction, items will be in the center, justify will be center. That's it. And then in the button, in the button on click, we are going to set our theme, and inside this we are going to check if our current theme, if it is dark. If our current theme is dark, then we're going to make it light, and if it is light, we're going to make it dark. That's it. Now inside this button we are going to check if the current theme is equal to dark, then we're going to show a icon, otherwise show another icon. So if it is dark, we're going to show a sun icon from lucid icon, and here we're going to use text white, so class name text white, width 7, height 7, cursor pointer. That's it. Otherwise we're going to use a moon icon, so moon icon from lucid react. So this is our theme toggler. If I show you the deployed version, we use the theme toggler in our navbar. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it in our home component to check. So let's add our theme toggler. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our theme toggler. It's not looking good here, but when we add it in our deployed version, it will look good. So if I click here, you can see it is now in the dark mode. The background changed from light to dark. If I click here again, you can see. So here we have a simple problem. So in the moon icon, the text will be black. So now if I hit save, now it looks good. So now you can see it's changing its theme from light to dark or dark to light. And you can see how easy it is to implement this dark light functionality using the Next theme. So it's working perfect. Now I'm going to remove the theme toggler from here because this one will be in our Navbar. So let's remove this. So our dark light functionality is completed. Now we are going to build the navbar. So if I show you the navbar in our deployed version, here you can see we have a logo, we have some nav links, we have the download CV button, and we have this theme toggler. So now we're going to implement this navbar. So to implement this, what I'm going to do is inside our home, I'm going to create a folder called navbar, and inside this I'm first create a nav.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. So this is for the large screen navigation bar, the desktop navigation bar. Then I'm going to create another file called mobilenav.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate. And this one is for the sidebar, the mobile navigation bar. Then I'm going to create a responsive nav.tsx. So this is to wrap our navbar and mobile nav and also configure the functionality to make it responsive. So these are responsive nav. And in the responsive nav, I'm going to use our nav, and then I'm going to use our mobile nav. That's it. Now we're going to add our responsive nav in the layout so that all the pages have access to this navbar. So here, before the children, I'm going to add our responsive nav. That's it. So now if I go to our project, here you can see the text nav, mobile nav, and home. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the text from here because we do not need this text here, and also remove the text from the home. So now we just have the text for the nav. So we now have this nav text. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file, a folder in the root level, and I'm going to name the folder constant, and inside this I'm going to create a constant.tsx. Sorry, not tsx, this one will be constant.ts. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to export the constant variable, constant data from here. So here I'm going to export const nav links. We're going to export the nav links, which will be an array of object. The object contains the name of home and the href, and for the href I'm going to use hash. So this is the first one, and we have 6 more, so I'm going to copy it 6 more time. The second one, the name here will be about the third one is skills. The fourth one will be projects. Then we have experience. Then we have, after the experience, we have testimonial, testimonials, and finally we have the contact. So by doing this, you can easily add more nav links or you can remove one from here, which will help you reuse these nav links, and you can use the map function and then add styles to one nav link and it will apply to the all. So this is our nav links. Now let's go to our home and nav.tsx. Here in the first div, we're going to add some class name. We're going to use transition all. So if you wonder why I use transition, so in the deployed version, if you notice when it starts scrolling, it changes background color and we have a shadow now. So I want it to happen smoothly. That's why I use this transition property here. Then after the transition, we're going to apply a duration of 200 milliseconds. Then we're going to add a height of 12 VH, Z index 100. The snapbar will be fixed, width will be 4. Then inside this div, we have another div with class name of flex. Then we have item center, height will be full, justify between, width 90%, in extra large, width 80%, MX will be auto. That's it. Now inside this div, first we have the logo. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a helper component for the logo, and I'm going to name it logo.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. So I'm using a separate component because here I use the text and icons as a logo. If you want, you can use an image. In that case, you do not need to do the helper component to create the logo. You can just use the image. So here in the logo component, the first div have a class name of flex item center space x2. We can also reuse this component logo other places if we need. That's it. Now inside this, we have another div with class name of bg blue 800. In the dark mode, bg blue 400, width 10, height 10, rounded LG, flex, item center, justify center, and flex will be in the column direction. That's it. Now inside this, we're going to use a quote square icon, and we're going to add some class name here, text white, and width 6, height 6. That's it. Then after this div, we are going to have h1, and we are going to use third bracket and this quotation, and I'm going to use this div. That's it. Now this h1 will have a class name of smaller devices text excel. This one will be hidden in the small devices. In small, this one will be block. In medium screen, text will be 2XL. Text will be blue 800. In the dark mode, text will be blue 400, font bold. That's it. Now if I hit save and let's go to our nav, and here I'm going to add our logo component. That's it. So now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have our logo and it looks exactly like this one. Awesome. Then after the logo we have our nav links. So after the logo we have our nav links. So here we have a div with class name of hidden in a large screen. This one will be flex. The nav links will be hidden in the smaller devices because here in the smaller device we will have our sidebar, but in the larger screen we are going to show it. Items will be center and spaces will be 10. That's it. Now inside this we are going to use our nav links from the constant, and we are going to map through it. We're going to map through it. We will get the link and the index. We are going to return a link from our next link, and then in this link we are going to pass the key as an index. Then we are going to pass the href, which is a link dot href. Then we are going to add some class name. In the dark mode, text white, otherwise in the light mode text will be black. In the hover, text yellow 500. In the dark mode, hover, text yellow 200, font semi bold, transition all, and duration will be 200 milliseconds. And then inside this we have a p tag with link.name. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our nav links, but it doesn't look like this one. I think there is some problem. Let's check. So here we have justify baseline, but this one will be justify between. So now if I hit save, now you can see, now it looks good. We have our hover effect also. Then after the nav links we have our two buttons. So after the nav link we have our buttons. So here I'm going to use a div with class name of flex item center spacex 4. Then inside this I'm going to use a tag. The href will be hash, and then this a tag have a class name of box border relative z20 inline flex items center justify center with auto px6 smaller devices px8 py3 overflow hidden font bold, text white, transition all, duration 300 millisecond, BG will be indigo 600, rounded MD, cursor pointer, group, then we have ring offset 2, ring offset 2, ring 1, ring will be indigo 300, then we have ring offset indigo 300, so ring offset indigo will be 200. Then in the hover we have ring offset indigo 500. Then we have ease, and in focus outline will be none. That's it. Then inside this A tag we have a span, and the span have a class name of relative z20 flex item center SpaceX2 text small. Then inside this span we have a download icon from Lucid icon, and here we're going to use a class name of width 4 height 4. Then we're going to use another span with the text download CV. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our button which looks exactly like this one, and it looks awesome. Then after this button, so this is the CV button. Then after the A tag we have the theme toggler, and here I'm going to use theme toggler component. That's it. And then we're going to use another one which is burger menu to open our sidebar in the mobile view. That's why we're using the burger menu. So here I am going to use menu icon, and in this menu icon we're going to add some class name width 8 height 8 cursor pointer text black, in the dark mode text white, in large screen hidden. That's it. So now if I go to our project, so here we have our theme toggler, and you can see in the dark mode it also looks amazing. We have the hover effect, and if I inspect and use a mobile view, and here you can see we have our menu, the burger menu. By clicking this burger menu, we're going to open or close our navigation bar. So it's already looks great. Next, what we are going to implement is the scroll animation. So if you notice, when I start scrolling, it changes background color and it have shadows. So now let's implement this. So let's go to our nav.tsx. So here first what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this into a client component because we're going to use some hooks here. So I'm going to use line, and then here I'm going to create a state variable which is navbg and set navbg and your state, and initially this one will be false. Then we're going to use effect hooks with empty dependencies array, and inside this we're going to create a function called handler, and inside this we're going to check if window dot scroll y, if it is greater than or equal 90 pixel, then we're going to set our navbg to true. But if window dot scroll y, if it is less than 90, then we're going to set our navbg to false. That's it. Now here we're going to use a window, and in the window we're going to add an event listener. We're going to listen for the scroll event, and here we're going to call our handler. That's it. So it is the best practice when you add event listener, you need to add the remove event listener in the cleanup function inside the use effect. So I'm going to return a callback function, and I'm going to copy this, paste it here, and here I'm going to change it to remove event listener. That's it. So this is our handler function, our use effect, and then based on this navbg we're going to change the background color. So here in this portion I'm going to convert it into a template literal format so that we can inject some dynamic styling here. And here we're going to check if navbg, if it is true, we're going to add in the dark mode, we're going to add bg gray 800, and in the light mode the bg will be white, shadow will be md, and if it is not true then we are going to just use the fixed position. That's it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some height so that we can test it. So let's say height 2000 pixels. So now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I start scrolling, so it's already white background. Let's check it in the dark mode. So if I start scrolling, let's reload the page, and if I start scrolling you can see it changes background color. In the light mode we can also see the shadow here, and you can see it looks amazing, just like the deployed version. Awesome. So let's remove this height from here. Let's go to the nav.tsx. So now our desktop navigation is completed. If I inspect, you can see in mobile view it also looks nice. Now we're going to start working on our mobile navbar, which is our sidebar. So here if I show you the sidebar, here you can see if I click here it will open our sidebar, and if I click here it will close it, and you can see initially we have a dark overlay and then the main sidebar, which looks awesome. So now let's go to our mobile nav.tsx, and here inside this div first we have overlay. So I'm going to use a div and I'm going to add some classes here. So I'm going to use fixed positioning in set 0, then transform transition all, duration 500 millisecond, z index will be 1002, bg will be black, opacity 70, width full, height screen. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our dark overlay. Awesome. Then after this we will have our nav links, and then we have a div with class name of text white fixed, justify center, flex will be in the column direction, height full, transform transition all, duration 500 millisecond. We want a delay of 300 millisecond because we want that the overlay appear to the screen fast, and after some delay the main sidebar appear. That's why we're using a delay of 300 milliseconds. Width will be 80%. Smaller devices width will be 60%. BG will be purple 700, and space Y6, and Z index will be 1050. Now if I hit save, and then inside this div we're going to use our nav links from our constant. We're going to map through it. We'll get the link and the index. Then we're going to return a link from our next link, and here the key will be index, and the link and the href will be link dot href. That's it. Now inside this we have a p tag with our link dot name. This p tag have some class name of text white with fit, text 20 pixel, margin left 12, border bottom 1.5 pixel, padding bottom 1, border white, and smaller devices text 30 pixel. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our nav links, our home, about, skills, projects, experience, testimonial, and contact. Now we need a cross button like this one to close the navigation bar. So after the nav links we have our close icon. So this one will be inside here, and here we're going to use a X icon from Lucid React, and here we're going to add some class name of absolute top will be 0.7 RAM, right will be 1.4 RAM, then in smaller devices width will be 8, smaller devices height will be 8, otherwise width will be 6 and height will be 6. Now if I hit save and go to our project. So here we have our close icon. By clicking this, we can close our navigation bar, and it looks exactly like this one. Next, we need to configure the functionality to make it responsive. So let's go to the responsive nav.tsx, and here I am going to convert this into a client component using use client, and here I'm going to add a state variable of show nav and set show nav, and here I'm going to use state hooks, and initially the show nav property will be false. Then I'm going to create two functions. First one is open nav handler, which will be an arrow function which will set our show nav to true. Then we're going to create another one which is close nav handler, which will set our show nav to false. And I'm going to hit save. Now we need to pass these props in our nav and mobile nav. So in the nav, we're going to pass the open nav props, and the open nav props, we are going to pass open nav handler function. And in the mobile nav, we're going to pass the show nav prop, and the show nav props will be our show nav state variable. And we are also going to pass a close nav props, and the close nav props will be close nav handler function. That's it. Now here you can see the complaint. So we pass the props. So we need to receive these props in our nav and mobile nav and give them the proper type definition. So first let's go to the nav.tsx, and here at the top I'm going to create a type, and the type I'm going to name it props. You can name it anything. You can name it nav props, you can name it page props, but I'm going to name it props. So here we are receiving a open nav props, and the open nav contains a function, a arrow function that returns void. That's it. And we need to pass these props here, and here I'm going to import the open. Now when we click on this menu icon, so on click, we're going to call our open nav. That's it. Next, go to the mobile nav. Here at the top I'm going to use type props, and here we are receiving a show nav props, which is a type of boolean, and a close nav props, which is a arrow function that returns void. That's it. Now we are going to pass it here as a props, and we're going to import the close nav and show nav. Now when we click on this X icon in the on click, we're going to call our close nav. Then based on the show nav, we're going to show or hide our navbar. So here I'm going to create a constant sidebar open close. We are going to check if the show nav, if it is true, we're going to use translate x0, otherwise translate x minus 100%. That's it. Now we need to pass this dynamic styling in both the overlay and the nabling. So first here I'm going to convert this into a template literal format. I'm going to remove the double quotation from here, and I'm going to add the sidebar open close. I'm going to do same for these nav links. I'm going to convert this into template literal. I'm going to remove the quotation, and here I'm going to pass the sidebar open close. Now if I hit save and let's go to our project, and now here if I click, you can see the sidebar opens very smoothly. And if I click here, it will close smoothly and it works perfectly. Awesome. Let's check again. So this is our desktop navigation bar. This is our dark mode. Let's inspect, and this is our sidebar in the dark mode, and this is the sidebar in the light mode. Let's check it in our iPad. In iPad it also looks amazing. So every functionality and features of our navbar works perfectly. So our navbar is completed. Next, we're going to build the hero section. So if I show you the hero section here in our deployed version, here you can see we have some text, a text write effect, two buttons. So now we're going to build this. So for that, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it hero. And inside this, I'm going to create a hero.css. And I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And then I'm going to add the hero section in the home. So here I'm going to use our hero section. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see the text hero. Now let's go to the hero.css, and here the first div have a class name of relative, then the mean height will be screen, bg will be radial gradient, and then inside this we have circle 476 pixel at 54.8% underscore 51.5%. You can use any gradient you want. I can suggest you one website. So if you search for gradient generator, and if you go to this website CSS gradient, and if you go to this background and then this gradient hunt, you will get these different types of gradient color that you can copy. So this will copy the CSS. You can convert this CSS into Tailwind classes using ChatGPT or some AI tools. So I use the same techniques to generate this gradient. So after 51.5%, we have a comma, then we have RGBA, and here we have 168, 229, 253, comma 1, and then underscore 0%, comma RGBA, and this one will be 244, 244, 254, comma 1. and then 42.3%. Then after this 42.3, we have comma RGBA 244 comma 244 comma 254 comma 1, and then underscore 100.2%. That's it. Then we have flex, item center, justify center, overflow hidden. In the dark mode, we have again BG, then radial gradient, and inside this we have circle, then we have farthest corner at 50.3% at the rate 47, not at the rate, underscore 47.3%, then comma RGBA 113 comma 42 comma 92 comma 1, and then 0.1% comma RGBA 40 comma 25 comma 46 comma 1 underscore 90%. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see in the light mode we have these types of gradient where we have this color at the middle, and in the dark mode we have this amazing gradient color just like this one. Awesome. So our background is working. Next, after this div, inside this div we will have our content. So here we have a div with class name of relative, then we have z10 text center, then inside this div we have another div with class name of smaller devices margin bottom 6. Now inside this div we have a span with class name of inline flex, then item center gap 2 px4 py2 rounded full vg white. In the dark mode vg will be gray 600, text small, text muted, foreground. In the dark mode text gray 200, margin bottom 8. Then inside this span we have another span with class name of width to height to rounded full PG green 500, and this span will have the text of note this span after this span. So I'm going to copy the text from here. This is the text, so copy it and paste it here and hit save. So available for opportunities. Now if I go to our project, so here you can see available for opportunities, just like this one. Awesome. In the dark mode it looks exactly like this one. Cool. Then after this, let's name it subtitle. Then after this we have our title, and we have a h1, and the text I'm going to copy it from here and paste it here. So we're going to quick fix it with this code, apostrophe code, and the John Doe text. So this John Doe text will be inside a span. That's it. Now this h1 will have a class name of text for Excel, smaller devices, text 5 Excel, in medium screen, text 6 Excel, in large screen, text 7 Excel, font bold, margin bottom 6. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here is the text. Hi, I am John Doe, and this span will have a class name of text purple 800, and in the dark mode text yellow 300. And if I hit save and go to our project, so here it changes color. In that dark mode it's yellow. Awesome. Next we have this typewrite effect. So for the typewrite effect we're going to use a package. The package we're going to use is type animation. So this is the package, React type animation. So it's a very popular library to create this typewrite effect. So I'm going to copy their installation. If you want, you can learn more about. I'm just copy the installation command, and I'm going to paste it here to install the React type animation. And then at the top I'm going to import something from React type animation, and we're going to import that type animation. Now after the h1 we'll have our type write effects, and here I have a div with class name of text Excel, smaller devices, text 2 Excel, text Excel, smaller devices, text 2 Excel, in medium screen, text 3 Excel, text black, in the dark mode text white, font semi bold, margin bottom 4, smaller devices, margin bottom 8, height 12. Now I'm going to hit save. Then inside this div I'm going to use our type animation, and here we need to pass some props. First one is the sequence. The sequence will be an array with first the text is mern stack developer, and then 2000, then tech instructor 2000, not 200, 2000, then open source contributor 2000. That's it. After the sequence, the wrapper will be span, then the speed will be 50, repeat infinity, repeat infinity, then class name will be font mono. So now if I hit save, and we need to convert this into a client component using use client. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our typewrite effect, and you can see how easy it is to implement this typewrite effect using the package. So it looks exactly like this one. Awesome. In the dark mode it also looks amazing. Great. It looks like this one. So next we have this description. So I'm going to copy this description from here. So after the title, the typewrite effect, we have description, and here we have a p tag with this description text, and this p tag will have a class name of text lg, text muted foreground. In the dark mode, text gray 200, max width to excel, mx auto, margin bottom thin. So now if I hit save, and here you can see we have our description just like this one. Awesome. Next we have two buttons. After the p tag we have buttons, and here we have a div first with class name of flex. Flex will be in the column direction, smaller device flex will be in the row, gap 4, justify center. That's it. Then inside this div we're going to use our button component, and this button we're going to use the prof size. The size will be large. We're going to use as child, then we're going to add some class name here with fit mx auto, in smaller devices mx0. Now inside this button I'm going to use a tag, the ace wrap. Here you can use your resume path here using this slash and your resume. So for now I'm going to use a hash here, and then inside this a tag we are going to use folder open, and here we're going to use a class name of width 5, height 5, and margin right 2. Now I'm going to hit save and go to our project. So here you can see we have our folder icon, and after the folder icon we have the text view projects. Now I'm going to hit save. Now you can see it looks good, just like this one. Next we have another button, so I'm going to copy it underneath, and here we're going to change the icon to download, and this one will be download CB. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our view project and download CB button, and this section looks exactly like this one. Let's check it in the dark mode. So in the dark mode it also looks amazing. Let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect, and in the iPad device you can see everything fit perfectly. We have our sidebar. Let's check it on the iPhone. In the iPhone you can see it also looks amazing. So our hero section is completed. Next we are going to build the about section. So if I show you the about section, here you can see we have a section heading, then we have an image, and we have some about information, and finally we have this statistics section. So now we are going to implement this about section. So first, before creating the about section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file called data.ts. So here I'm going to add some static data that we are going to use in this portfolio project. The best thing is to use this data file is when you use this code, you can just change the information in this data file and it will reflect in your project. For example, if you change your name in the data file, or you can change your name, change your project link and all of this in this data ts file, you do not need to do anything to the other components and go to the component by component to edit the information. So let me copy the data, static data here first. So I'm going to paste the data here, and if I show you the data, so here we export a stats variable with an array of object with a label, the years of experience and the value, the project completed value, the happy client and value, students thought and value. You can change it according to your stats. You can change the number of project completed, you can change the number of client value and all of this. So this is the stats data, this is the highlights data, and this is the user review data. So this is the review object id, the name of the person that give the review, the profession, the user image and the review text. So this is the user review data. This is the contact information. You can change your contact information from here. You can change your email and the href and the label also. Then we have the social links. This is the GitHub icon, LinkedIn icon. You can add your GitHub link here, you can add your LinkedIn link here, you can add your Twitter link here. Then this is the experience section. You can change the experience data according to you. Then we have this footer social link. Then we have the project information, and then we have the skill categories, the front end and the front end skills, the back end, the back end skills, and then the tools and other and the skills. So I'm going to add this static data.ts file in the starter file. So you can access this data file, static data file, and you can configure this on your own based on your information. So this is the data file that we are going to use throughout our project. Now let's start our about section. So for the about section, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it about, and inside this I'm going to create a about.css, and I'm going to use rafc to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So after the hero we'll have our about. That's it. Now let's go to the about, and here the first div have a class name of padding y of 16, bg gray 100. In the dark, bg gray will be 900. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see the text about. Next we have this section heading. So what I'm going to do is, if you notice that this section heading is used for all the section, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate component for this section heading. So let's go to our project, and in the helper I'm going to create a section heading.css, and I'm going to use rfc to create a component boilerplate, and here we are going to receive some props. So type props, we are going to receive the title part 1, which is a type of string, then the title part 2, which is a type of string, and then a description, which is type of string. That's it. And here I'm going to pass our props, and I'm going to import the description, the title 1 and title 2. That's it. Now here the first div have a class name of text center margin bottom 16, and inside this div we'll have a h2 with class name of text3xl in medium screen. Text will be 4xl, font bold, margin bottom 4, and here will be our title part 1, and after that we're going to add a span with our title 2, and this span have a class name of text purple 700. That's it. Then after the h2 we'll have a p tag with the description, and this p tag have a class name of text muted foreground max width 2xl and mx auto. That's it. So this is our section heading. Now let's go to the about.tsx, and here inside this div first we'll have our section heading. So I'm going to use our section heading component from the helper, then pass the title 1, the title 2, and the description. For the title 1 will be about, title 2 will be me, and the description will be get to know the developer behind the code. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, So here you can see we have our section heading, but we need a gap between this about and me. So let's go to our section heading. So here we will need a space. So I'm going to add a space here. Now you can see it looks good. Awesome. It looks exactly like this one. Next, after this section heading, we'll have a div with class name of grid with 80% image auto in a larger screen. Grid calls to gap 12 items center. Then inside this div, first we have a image. So I'm going to use a div here. Then inside this div, so this div will have a class name of relative. Then inside this div, we'll have another div with class name of aspect square rounded to Excel. Then overflow hidden and padding will be 2. Then inside this we'll have our image from next image, and this image, the source will be slash images slash user dot jpg. Then the alt will be profile, the width 700, height 700, and class name with full, height full, object cover, and rounded Excel. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our image, just like this one. Awesome. Next, after the image, we have the content. So after the image, we have our content. And here we have a div with class name of space y6. Then inside this, we have a h3 with class name of text to Excel font semibold. And here the text will be, I'm going to copy it from here. This is the text. So copy this and paste it here. Then we have a 2p tag, and the first p tag have a class name of text muted foreground, and leading will be relaxed, and same for this second p tag. So copy this, paste it here. The text for this p tag, I'm going to copy it from our deployed version. So this is the text, copy this and paste it in the first p, and copy this and then paste it in the second p tag. So here it's complaining about using this code, so I'm going to replace this with this code. And now if I hit save, also convert this one. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text and these two paragraph text. Awesome. Then after the p tag, we have our highlights. So if I show you the highlights, so this is the highlights. And here we have a div, and this div have a class name of greet. Greet calls 1, a smaller device. Greet calls 2, gap 4, padding top will be 4. That's it. Then inside this div, we're going to use our highlights data, and we're going to import it from our data. So if I show you the data, and this is the highlights data that we're going to use here. So here we're going to map through it. We'll get the item, and we're going to return a div, and the key will be item dot text, and then this div have a class name of flex item center gap 3 text small. That's it. Then inside this div we have another div with class name of width 8 height 8 rounded lg bg. So let's see if we have any bg. So if you want, you can use a bg. Let's say bg blue 500/10. Then let's just flex item center justifies center, and then inside this div we'll have item. Inside this div we'll have item dot icon, and this will have some class name of width 4 height 4, and let's use text blue 500 here. That's it. Then after this div we'll have a span with class name of text muted foreground, and inside this span the text will be item dot text. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see our highlights. It looks much better than this one. We have this background type color and this icon text. Awesome. So this is our highlights. Next we're going to add this stats section, the stats part. So let's go here. So after the highlights we will have, so after completing this content part and at the end of this grid we are going to add our stats, and here I have a div with class name of margin top of 16 with 80% mx auto. Then inside this we have another div with class name of grid. Grid calls 2 in a larger screen. Grid calls 4 gap 6. Then inside this we're going to import our stats from our data. So let me show you the stats. So this is the stats data, and we are importing this from our data file, and we are going to map through it, and we'll get the individual stat, and we're going to return a div. The key will be stat dot label. Then this div will have some class name of bg white. In the dark mode, bg will be gray 800. Then shadow rounded excel padding 6 and text center. That's it. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of text3excel in medium screen text 4excel font bold text purple 600 margin bottom 2. And here inside this we have a stat dot value. That's it. Then after this div we have another div with class name of text small text muted foreground, and inside this we have stat dot label, and I'm going to hit save. Now if I go to our project, and here you can see we have our stats, and you can see our about sections looks exactly like this one, and it looks amazing. Let's check this on the dark mode. So in the dark mode it also looks cool. Let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect, and in the mobile device you can see everything fit perfectly. Let's check this on the iPad device, and in the iPad you can see it also fit perfectly. So our about section is completed. Next we are going to build the skills section. So if I show you the skills section, here we have section heading, and we have different types of skills: front end skill, back end, and tools and others. So now we're going to implement this section. So to implement these sections, I'm going to create a new folder inside our home, and I'm going to name it skills. And inside this, I'm going to create a skills.tsx, and then I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our home. So after the about, we'll have our skills. So now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our text skills. Now let's go to the skills.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of padding white will be 16, bg will be gray 100. In the dark mode, bg will be gray 950. That's it. Then inside this div we have our section heading, and in the section heading we need to pass the title 1, the title 2, and the description. For the title 1 will be technical. For the title 2 will be skills, and the description I'm going to copy it from here. So copy this and paste it here. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our section heading. Then after the section heading, we have a div with class name of space y12. Then we have width of 80%. Image will be auto. That's it. Then inside this, we're going to import our skill categories. We're going to map through it. We'll get the individual category, and then we're going to return a div, and in the div we're going to pass the key, which is category dot title, and then inside this div we have a h3, and this h3 have a class name of text excel, font semi bold, margin bottom 6, flex, item center, gap 3. Now inside this h3 we have a span, and this span have a class name of width to, height to, rounded full, then bg purple 600. Then after this span we have our category dot title. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our front end, our back end, and our tools and others. Awesome. Then after this h3 we have another div with class name of grid. Grid calls will be 2 in smaller device. Grid calls will be 3 in medium screen. Grid calls will be 4 in a larger screen. Grid calls will be 6, gap 4. That's it. Now inside this we are going to map through category dot scales, and we're going to map through it and get the skill and index, and we're going to return a div, and inside this div the key will be index, and then what I'm going to do is for the skill card, so for this card I'm going to create a separate component so that we can reuse it. So in the skill I'm going to create a skill card dot css, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and here inside this div I'm going to add our skill card, and we're going to pass name skill dot name. We're going to pass icon, which is skill dot icon, and that's it. Now we have to receive this props and give them the proper type definition. So let's go to the skill card, and here I'm going to use type props. We are receiving a name of type string and a icon of type lucid icon. That's it. Now here the first div have a class name of Sorry, here we need to also pass our props and import the icon and name. Now inside this div, we're going to use group relative bg white, the dark mode bg purple 950, shadow md, rounded xl, padding 4, flex, flex will be in the column direction, item center, gap 3, cursor pointer, the hover, scale will be 105, transition all, duration 300 millisecond. That's it. Now inside this we have another div with class name of width 12, height 12, rounded lg, rounded lg, bg linear to br, then from purple 400 to blue 600, flex, item center, justify center, group over from purple 300, group over to blue 800, transition all, duration 300 millisecond. Then inside this div we'll have our icon. So here we are going to import icon as icon, so we can use it as an icon, and here we are going to apply some class name with 6, height 6, text white. That's it. Then after this div we'll have a span tag with the name, and the span tag have a class name of text small, font medium, and text foreground. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our skill card with hover effect. Awesome. And you can see it looks amazing, just like this one. Let's check this in the dark mode, and you can see in the dark mode it also looks amazing. Let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and select a mobile device, you can see in mobile device it also fit perfectly. Let's check it on the iPad, and in the iPad it also fit perfectly. So our skill section is completed. After this skill section, we are going to implement the project section. So if I show you the project section, here you can see we have section heading and we have this project card with the project information. So to build this section, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it project. And inside this, I'm going to create a project.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add project here. That's it. So now if I go to our project, here you can see the text project. Then let's go to the project.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of padding y will be 16, bg will be gray 100, in the dark mode bg will be gray 900. That's it. Then inside this div we'll have our section heading, so we're going to import the section heading, and here we have a title 1. So we have a title 1, then the title 2, and the description. For the title 1 will be featured, in title 2 will be projects, and the subheading I'm going to copy it from here, a section of my recent work. So copy this and paste it here. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our section heading just like this one, and you can see it looks exactly like this one. So this is our section heading. After this section heading we have a div with class name of greet, in medium screen greet calls 2, and in larger screen greet calls 3, gap 6 with 80%, and mx auto. I'm going to hit save, and then inside this div we are going to use our project. So projects data, so if I show you in our data file, and here we have our project data. So this is our project data, which contains an array of objects, and each object contains title, description, image, the text stack, the demo URL, and GitHub URL. So these are the project data that I'm going to use. If you want, you can change according to you. And here I'm going to use map, and I will get the individual project and index, and then I'm going to return a div, and here pass the key will be index, and then so here we need to add the return statement, and then inside this we will have our project card. So if I show you the project card, so this is our project card. So for this project card I'm going to create a separate component so that we can reuse the project card. So here inside this project folder I'm going to create a project card.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and here inside this div I'm going to use project card. That's it, and we are going to pass the project object as a props. So project, that's it. So now we have to receive this in our project card. So let's go to the project card, and here at the top I'm going to create a type props, and here we are receiving a title of type string, a description of type string, then a image of type string, a text stack will be a string array, then the demo URL, which is an optional, this one will be string, and a GitHub URL, which is an optional, and it will be string. And now we're going to pass this props in our component, and we're going to import the description, image, text stack, title, demo URL, and GitHub URL. That's it. Now here the first div has some class name. So class name will be group relative, then bg wide, in the dark mode bg gray 800, then we have shadow md rounded to excel, then overflow hidden, then we have hover, not hover, so that's it. Then inside this div we have our image container. So here we have a div with class name of relative, height will be 48, overflow will be hidden. Then inside this div we have our image from next image, and here the source will be the image, the alt will be the title, then the width 400, height 400, and we're going to add some class name of width full, height full, and object cover. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our images. Looks awesome, just like this one. Great. And after the image container we have our main content. And here we have a div with class name of padding 6. Then inside this div we have a h3, and here we'll use the title, and this h3 have a class name of text excel, text black, in the dark mode text wide, font semi bold, margin bottom 2, in the group hover text blue 500. Then we have transition colors. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our title, and you can see in the hover it changed its color, which looks amazing, just like this one. Next, after the h3 we have a p tag with the description, and this p tag have a class name of text muted foreground, text small, margin bottom 4, and line clamp 2. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our description. Awesome. Next, after the description we have this text stack. So after the p we have our text stacks, and here I'm going to use a div with class name of flex. Flex will be wrap, gap 2, and margin bottom will be 6. Then inside this we're going to map through our text stack dot map and we're going to get the text stack from here. We are going to map through it. We'll get the individual text, then we're going to return a span, and in the span the key will be text, and the class name will be text extra small px3 py1 rounded full bg indigo 600 text white font medium. That's it. And inside this we'll have our tick. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our tick. Awesome. Next we have these two buttons, live demo and GitHub button. So after the text tag we have our buttons. We have our buttons, and here we have a div first, and this div have a class name of flex gap3. Then inside this div we're going to use our demo URL, and we're going to, if we have the demo URL, we'll add a button from our UI component, and this button will be h child, size will be small, and we have a class name of flex1. That's it. Now inside this button we have a tag. The href will be the demo URL, and then we're going to use the target. Target will be blank. Then we're going to use a ref. The ref will be no opener. Sorry, this will be no opener. So this one is not ref, this one is rel. No opener. No opener, and then no reference. That's it. No referrer. That's it. And inside this a tag we will have a icon which is external link from Lucid React, and this one will have some class name of width 4, height 4, and margin right 2, and then the text live demo. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our live demo button, and we also have the GitHub button. So let's add the GitHub button also. Then I'm going to copy this button underneath, and we're going to change this from demo URL to GitHub URL if we have the GitHub URL, and we're going to add the variant here. The variant will be outline, and the size will be small, and the class name will be flex1. We have the a tag, and here we're going to use here in the href we are going to use the GitHub URL, and here the text will be GitHub, and here let's use a GitHub icon. So let's use this icon. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our live demo and GitHub button. awesome, and the section looks amazing. Here we use the code icon, but the GitHub icon looks more amazing. So this is our project. Let's check this on the dark mode. So in the dark mode, you can see it also looks amazing, just like this one. So in the dark mode, it looks great. Let's check the responsiveness. If I inspect and select a mobile device, and in the mobile device, you can see the project fit perfectly and looks amazing. In the light mode, it also looks good. Let's check this on the iPad device. So in the iPad, it also looks amazing. So our project section is completed. Next, we are going to build the experience section. So if I show you the experience section, here you can see we have this ladder type system, the timeline system, and in the right side and left side we have our content, which looks very amazing and premium. So now we are going to implement this section. So to implement this, I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it experience. And inside this, I'm going to create a experience.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add it in our home. After the project, I'm going to add our experience. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see the text experience. Now let's go to the experience.tsx, and here at the first tip we have a class name of py of 16, bg will be gray 100, and in the dark mode bg will be gray 950. That's it. Then inside this div we'll have our section heading, and here we'll have the title 1, title 2, and description. For the title 1 will be experience and then for the title 2 will be education, and for the description I'm going to copy it from here. So copy this and paste it here. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our section heading experience and education, and the description my professional journey and academic background. Awesome. So after this section heading we have another div with class name of relative px will be 6, max width 4xl, mx auto. Then inside this we have first our timeline line, and here we have a div with class name of absolute. Then we have left 4 in medium screen, left will be half, top 0, bottom 0, wpx, that means width 1 pixel, then bg linear to br, linear to b just, and from blue 400 to blue 900, and in medium screen minus translate x px. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here nothing is showing. Let's reload the page and let's continue building. So here after the timeline div we are going to use our experience data So if I show you in the data.ts, and this is our experience that contains a type, title, company, period, description, and technologies. So this is our experience. So I'm going to map through it, get the individual item and index, and inside this I'm going to return a div, and here the key will be index, and then we are going to add a class name, but here we are going to use template literal format because we want to inject some dynamic styling. So here first we have relative, then flex will be in the column direction. In medium screen, flex will be in the row direction. Gap 8, margin bottom 12, and we're going to check if index is divided by 2. That means if it is even, then we're going to add in medium screen, we're going to add the flex, low row reverse, otherwise nothing. So here we have some mistake. So this one will be experience dot map. That's it. So now if I hit save, so this is our div, and then inside this div we have our timeline node. So timeline node. So here we have a div with class name of absolute left 4, then in medium screen left half, then we have width 8, height 8, minus translate x half, rounded full, then we have bg wide, border 2, border blue 500, flex, item center, ztip. That's it. Then inside this div we're going to check if the item dot type, if it is work, then we're going to show one icon, otherwise we show another icon. So if it is work, we're going to show a briefcase icon with class name of width 4, height 4, and text blue 500. If it is not work type, then I'm going to copy this, and here I'm going to paste it and change this briefcase to graduation cap. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our line and we have our icon, but it doesn't look good here. I think we have some styling missing, so let's check. So here in the timeline node, after the item center, we have justify center. So now if I hit save, now it looks good. We have our briefcase icon and the graduation icon. So this is our timeline node. Then we have our content. So here we have a div with class name of margin left 16. In medium screen, margin left will be 0. Then in medium screen, width will be calc. We're going to calculate. And here, where inside the calc function, we use that 50% minus 2m. That's it. Then inside this div, we have another div with class name of bg white in the dark mode, bg gray 900, shadow md, rounded xl, padding 6 in the hover, scale 105, transition all. Then we have duration 300 milliseconds. Now inside this div, we have another div with class name of flex, item center, gap to, text small. Then we have text blue 500 and margin bottom 2. That's it. Now inside this div, we have a span with item dot period. This span have a class name of px3, py will be 1, rounded full, bg blue 600 slash 10, and font medium. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our one item, two item, and we have the period which looks exactly like this one. Awesome. Next, after this div, we have a h3 with our item dot title, and this h3 has class name of text excel, font semi bold, and margin bottom 1. That's it. After this h3, we have a p tag with item dot description, and this p tag have class name of text muted foreground, text small, and margin bottom 4. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our heading and our description just like this one. So here I think we missed something. So text muted foreground, text small, margin bottom 4. Before this p tag, we have another p tag with item dot company, and this p tag has class name of text muted foreground and text small, and margin bottom 3. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, now it looks good like this one. Awesome. Then we have the text stack. So let's go here. So after the description, we have another div with class name of flex. Flex will be wrap gap 2, and inside this div we'll have item dot technologies dot map, and we will get the individual tag, and then we're going to return a span, and here the key will be the tag, and this span have some class name of text extra small px2, and then we have py1 rounded md bg indigo 500 and text white. That's it. And inside this pen we will have our tick. That's it. Now after completing this, and after this step, we have another dip. So not here, this will be here, and this tip have a class name of hidden, and in medium screen shall be block. In medium screen the width will be calc 50% minus 2 rem. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our item just like this one, this ladder. So you can see we have the hover effect and everything looks amazing. Let's check it on the dark mode. In the dark mode you can see it also looks amazing. Let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and select a mobile device, so you can see in mobile device it looks amazing. We have the line at the left side and the chord at the right side, and it looks awesome. Let's check this on the iPad device. So in the iPad you can see it also fit perfectly. Awesome. So our experience section is completed. Next, we're going to build the client review section. So if I show you the client review, here you can see we have a slider where we can slide from left to right or right to left, and the slider also has a auto sliding feature. So if you wait some time, it will slide automatically. So now we are going to implement this section. So first I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it client review, and inside this I'm going to create a client review dot tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and I'm going to add this here, client review. And if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the text client review. Now here at the first div we have a class name of py20 bg gray 100. In the dark mode bg gray 900, and I'm going to hit save. Then inside this div we have another div with class name of with 80% mx auto, and here inside this div we'll use our section heading. In the section heading we're going to pass the title 1, title 2, and the description. For the title 1 we're going to use our client, and for the title 2 we're going to use reviews, and for the description we're going to use check out our client reviews. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our section heading just like this one. Next we have this slider. So here for the slider we're going to use a third-party package. The package we are going to use is React multi-carousel. So if I search for React multi-carousel and go to their npm package, here you can see it is very popular package to create this slider. And if you want, you can learn more about by reading their documentation. And here first I'm going to copy their npm script to install it, and I'm going to paste it here to install this package. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a use client component, a client component using use client. Then we need to import this carousel and this styling. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it here. Next we need this responsive variable for our responsive design. So I'm going to copy it from here and I'm going to paste it here. That's it. And here we're going to change some of this. So in the desktop the breakpoint will start from 3000 and the mean will be 1324, and we want to show 3 items and we want to slide 1 item. Slides to slide will be 1 item. Then for the tablet we have 1324 and mean will be 764, and we're going to show 2 items and the item to slide will be 1. And then the third one, the max will be 764 and mean will be 0, items will be 1, and slides to slides will be 1. Awesome. Next here after the section heading we have a div with class name of margin top of 40. Then inside this what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this carousel code. You can see they have a lot of configuration options that you can use here. So I'm going to copy all of this and I'm going to paste it here, but I'm not going to use all of this. So I'm going to sweepable, draggable, we do not need it. The show dot, we do not need it. The responsive will be this responsive variable. Then the SSR, we do not need the SSR. The infinity will be true. The autoplay will be true. The autoplay speed will be 5000 milliseconds, that means 5 seconds. And we do not need the keyboard controller and other classes. Here we're going to also use the arrows. The arrows will be true. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we already have our slider and it's working. We can slide from left to right and right to left. Great. Now let's go to our project. So here we have this extra semicolon. So I'm going to remove this. Now here, instead of using this tip, we are going to use a reusable review card component. So what I'm going to do is, in the client review, I'm going to create a review card.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate. And here inside this carousel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our user review data from our data. So if I show you in the data.ts, we have this user review data that we are going to use here. So we import this, and then we are going to map through it. We'll get the review, not the review, we will get the, you can say, user or review, and then we are going to return a div, and the key will be user.id, and inside this div we're going to add our client review, not the client review card. That's it. And in the review card, we're going to pass the user as a user. That's it. Now we have to receive the props and give them the proper type definition. So one trick is, if you hover here, you can see it will give you the type. So the user is a type of object that contains ID of number, name of string, profession of string, user image of string, and review of string. So I'm going to copy it from here. Let's go to the review card. At the top, type, props, and then the types, user type. So this is our type. Our props is a user object that contains ID of number, name of string, profession string, user image of string, and review of string. Now here I'm going to pass our props, and I'm going to import our user. That's it. Now here the first div have a class name of bg white shadow md. Then in the dark mode, bg will be gray 800. Then rounded lg. Then margin 3 and padding 6 related. That's it. Now inside this div we have a quote icon from our Lucid React, and this icon have class name of width 8, height 8, absolute, top will be 4, right will be 4, text red 600. In the dark mode, text yellow 300 and opacity 20. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have the card with this quote icon. Awesome. So then after the quote icon, we have a div with class name of margin top of 6, flex, item center, and inside this we're going to use star icon. So let's use this fa star icon, and this icon will have a class name of width 4, height 4, and text yellow 600, and in the dark mode, text yellow 300. And that's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our 1 star. So I'm going to copy it for more time, and if I hit save, so this is our 5 star. In actual we have this unfilled star, but here I use this fill star, which Looks great, I think. Then after this we have the review text. So let's go to our project. So after this div we have a p tag with our user dot review, and this p tag have class name of margin top of 6, text base, text gray 600, in the dark mode text gray 300, font semi bold. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our review text just like this one. Awesome. Then after the review text we have a div with class name of width full, height 1.2 pixel, bg gray 600, in the dark mode bg gray 300, opacity 10, margin top 6, margin bottom 6. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so this is this line which looks exactly like this one. Awesome. Next we have our user review. So after this div we have another div with class name of flex, items will be center, and SpaceX will be 4. Then inside this div we'll have an image from next image, and then inside this image we have the source. Source will be user dot user image, alt image width 50, height 50, and class name will be rounded full. That's it. And after the user image we have another div, and inside div we have a h1 with user dot name, and we have a p tag with user dot profession. Now this h1 will have class name of font bold, text gray 800, in the dark mode text gray 200, and for the p tag the class name will be text small, text gray 500, not green, gray 500. And if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our user review card which looks exactly like this one. Awesome. And let's check this on the dark mode. In the dark mode you can see it also fit perfectly just like this one, and we can slide from left to right or right to left. And let's check this in the responsiveness, check its responsiveness. So if I use a mobile device, and in the mobile device you can see in mobile device it fit perfectly. We have one card at the screen. Let's check this in the iPad, and in the iPad you can see it also fit perfectly, and here we have two cards at the screen. So our client review section is completed. Next we are going to build the contact section. So if I show you the contact section, here you can see we have the section heading, then here we have some information, and then at the right hand side we have our contact form, and at the bottom we have some social links. So now we are going to implement this section. So first I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it contact.tsx. Sorry, the folder name will be contact, and inside this I'm going to create a contact.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add it in our homes. After the client review, we'll have our contact component. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have the text contact. Now let's go to the contact.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of UI16 BG gray 100, in the dark mode BG gray 950. Then inside this div we'll have our section heading, and in the section heading we first have title 1, then the title 2 and description. For the title 1 we'll have get in, and for the title 2 we have touch, and for the description I am going to copy it from here. So copy this and paste it here. And now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our section heading. Awesome. Next, after the section heading, we have a div with class name of with 80% mx auto. Then inside this we have another div with class name of grid calls in largest screen, grid calls to. Then we have gap of 12, max width 5 XL, and mx will be auto. Now inside this div we first have our contact info. So here we have a div with class name of, so this div doesn't have any class name, just the div. Then inside this div we have another div, and this div have class name of space y8. Then inside this div we have another div, and then inside this div we have a h3, and the content here is this one, let's talk. So I'm going to copy this, paste it here. We have to convert this in the code, and this h3 have a class name of text to excel, font semi bold, and margin bottom 4. That's it. Then we have a p tag, so I'm going to copy the text from here. So copy this and paste it here and convert this into this code, and this p tag have a class name of text muted foreground. And now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our let's talk and this subheading. Awesome, just like this one. Next, after this div we have another div with class name of space y4. Now inside this div we're going to use our contact info data, and if I show you the contact info data, so this is our contact info data that we are going to use. If you want you can change it, and here we're going to map through it. We'll get the individual item, and then we're going to return a tag. The href will be item dot href. The key will be item dot label. Then the target will be blank, and then we have some class name of flex, item center, gap 4, padding 4, bg wide. In the dark mode, bg will be gray 800. Then we have shadow medium and rounded XL. In the hover, scale will be 105, transition all, and duration 300 millisecond, and we're going to use group. Now inside this a tag we have a div with class name of width 12, height 12, rounded LG. BG will be blue 600 slash 10, then flex, item center, justify center. In the group hover, BG will be blue 600 slash 20, and transition colors. That's it. Now inside this div we'll have our item dot icon, and this have some class name of width 5, height 5, text blue 500. In the dark mode, the text will be white. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our 3 contact info card, just like this one, and you can see it have the hover effect. Awesome. So after the div, so after this div we have another div, and then inside this div we have a p tag with item dot label, and this p tag have a class name of text small, text muted foreground, and then after this p tag we have another p tag with item dot value, and this p tag have class name of font media. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our email, phone number and location, just like this one, and you can see it looks great. Awesome, just like this one. Next we have the socials icons, so let's go here. So after this tip we have our social icons. So here we have a div, and inside this we have a h4 with the text follow me, and this h4 have a class name of text lv, font medium, margin bottom 4. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have the text follow me. Then after this h4 we have another div with class name of flex, gap 3. Then inside this div, we're going to use our social links, and we're going to import the social links from our data. So in the data, you will see that we have this on the social link. So we are going to use this. So here I'm going to map through our social links. We'll get the individual link, and here return a tag. The href will be link.href. Then the key will be link.label. Then target will be blank. Then the class name width 12, height 12, rounded XL, BG wide in the dark mode, BG gray 800, flex, item center, justify center, text muted foreground in the hover, text blue 500, transition colors. That's it. Now inside this a tag, we'll use our link dot icon. This icon have a class name of width 5, height 5. And now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our social icon with hover effect. Awesome. It looks great. Just like this one. So after this contact, after this contact info, we will have our contact form. So here we have a div, and inside this we will have a form. We don't need any action here. This form will have a class name of bg wide. In the dark mode, we're going to use bg gray 800. Rounded will be 2xl. Then we have a padding of 8 space y6. That's it. Now inside this form we have a div with class name of greet smaller device. Greet calls to and gap 4. That's it. Then inside this div we have another div with class name of space y2. Then inside this div we have a label, and for the label this one will be name, and the label have a class name of text small, font medium, and here the HTML for will be name. Then we will have the input, but here we are going to use our shared CL. If I go to the ShareCN UI again, there are components. So we're going to use the input from ShareCN. So you can see this is the input styling. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to add it here. I'm also going to use ShareCN text area. So if I show you the text area, so this one. So I'm going to also add this to our project. So I'm going to paste it here and hit enter. So this will add the text area here also. Now here after the label, we are going to have our input and we are going to import it from our component UI. And inside this input, we'll have the ID of name, then a name will be name, then a placeholder will be John Smith. You can use your name here. Then this field is required. Then the class name will be bggray100. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our one John Smith, which looks exactly like this one. Awesome. Then after this div, we have another div similar to this one. So I'm going to copy it underneath and we're going to change some of the property here. So this one will be HTML for email and class name will be same, and here this name will be email, then this ID will be email, the name will be email, the placeholder we're going to change it to, let's say, John at the rate example.com, and this one will be required and class name will be same. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our name and email. So here the placeholder is John Smith, here John at the rate example.com, and it looks exactly like this one. Awesome. Then after this div completing the name and email, we have another div with class name of space y2, and then inside this div we have a label and the HTML4 will be subject, and then this label have a class name of text small, font medium, and here this one will be subject. That's it. Then after this label, we are going to use our input, and this one will be a self-closing, and then inside this input the ID will be subject, then the name will be subject, then the placeholder will be project inquiry, and then this one will be required and class name bg gray 100. That's it. Next, after this div, we have another div with class name of space y2. Then we have this similar labels. I'm going to copy it and paste it here. The HTML4 will be message. Then the text here will be message. Next, after the label, we're going to use our text area from our component UI, and here the ID will be message. Then the name will be message. The placeholder will be tell me about your project. Then the row will be 5, and this one will be required, and class name will be bg gray 100, and height will be 40. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our project inquiry and the message, just like this one. Next we have this send message button, so it looks good. Next, after this div, we have a button, and this button will have the type of submit button. Then the size will be LG. Then class name will be with full, and cursor pointer. Now inside this button we'll have our send icon from Lucid React. This send icon will have class name of width 4, height 4, and margin right 2, and then the text send message. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our send message button. So this context section looks exactly like this one. Let's check our context section in the dark mode. So in the dark mode you can see it also looks amazing, just like this one. Awesome. Let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and if I select a mobile device, so you can see in mobile device it fit perfectly and looks good. Let's check on the iPad device. In iPad it also fit perfectly. So our context section is completed. Next we are going to implement the footer section. So if I show you the footer section, so this is our footer section where we have this text, some social icon, and this text and the copyright text. So this is very simple footer. So to implement this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it footer, and inside this I'm going to create a footer.css, and I'm going to use RFC to create a component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this footer in our layout and after the children, so that all the pages have access to the footer. That's it. Now if I go to our project, so here you can see we have the text footer. Now let's go to our footer.tsx, and here I'm going to remove this tip, and I'm going to use a footer tag here, and this footer tag have class name of border top bg white, in the dark mode bg gray 900, border gray 200, in the dark mode border gray 700, and padding y 12. That's it. Then inside this footer we have a div with class name of with 80% mx auto. Then inside this div we have another div with class name of flex. Flex will be in the column direction. In medium screen, flex will be in the row direction. Item center, justify will be between, and gap 6. That's it. And inside this div we'll have a tag. The href will be home, and then this a tag have a class name of text excel, font bold, and text indigo 700. Then inside this we're going to use this div text. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our text div. Then after this a tag we have another div with class name of flex, item center, and gap 4. Inside this we're going to use our social links, so footer social links, and we're going to map through it. We'll get the individual link, and we're going to return a tag. The href will be link.href. The key will be link.label. Then this h, then a tag, the target will be slash blank. Then the rel will be no opener, and then no referrer. Then this a tag have some class name of width 10, height 10, rounded, lg, et white, in the dark mode, bg, gray 800, shadow md, flex, item center, justify center, text muted foreground, in the hover, text blue 500, transition colors. Now inside this we'll have our link dot icon, and here the class name will be width 5, height 5. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our socials icons. Awesome. Next, after this div we have a p tag with class name of text small, text muted foreground, flex, item center, gap 1. And inside this p tag we have the text made with, and then we have a space, and then a heart icon from Lucid React. This heart icon will have a class name of width 4, height 4, text will be destructive, feel destructive, and then the text by and your name. Here I am using my name. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we just need one, and here you can see made with heart and then by my name. Awesome. So next we have this bottom part, so I'm going to copy this text from here, and then after this div we have another div with class name of padding top 8, margin top 8, border top, border gray 300, in the dark mode border gray 800, text center. That's it. Now inside this div we have a p tag, and first we have this text. This p tag have a class name of text small, text muted, foreground, and then after this we are not going to use this static 2016. We are going to use new date. So new date, and we are going to call this function, and we will get the full year, and that's how we are going to find the year. So now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our footer. Let's check this in the dark mode. You can see in dark mode it also looks great, just like this one. And let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and select a mobile device, and here you can see in mobile it looks amazing. Let's check this in the iPad. In the iPad it also looks amazing. So our footer is completed. Next we are going to implement the scroll to top functionality. So if I show you the scroll to top, here you can see we have a button. By clicking this it will go to the top, and initially it's hidden, but when I start scrolling it appears to the screen. Now we are going to implement this feature. So let's go to our project, and in the helper I'm going to create a scroll to top.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and I'm going to add this in our layout. So here after the footer I'm going to add our scroll to top. That's it. Next let's go to the scroll to top tsx, and here I'm going to convert this into a client component using use client, and then here I'm going to first create a state variable is visible and set is visible, and I'm going to use state hooks, and initially this one will be false. Then I'm going to use a use effect hooks with an empty dependency array, and inside this I'm going to create a function called toggle visibility, and inside this function we're going to check if window dot scroll in the y direction, if it is greater than 300 pixel, in that case we are going to set our is visible to true, otherwise we're going to set our is visible to false. That's it. Now here in the window we're going to add event listener, and we're going to listen for the scroll event, and we're going to call our toggle visibility. And it is a good practice to use the cleanup function, so I'm going to add a cleanup function here. So copy this, paste it here, and instead of add event listener, we're going to use the remove event listener. That's it. So this is our toggle visibility. Then I'm going to create another function which is scroll to top, and in this function we're going to use window dot scroll to, and we're going to scroll to top. That's why top will be 0 and behavior will be smooth. We want smooth behavior. That's it. Now here this div will have some class name. This one will be fixed bottom 4 animate pulse, right will be 4. That's it. Then inside this we're going to check if is visible is true. In that case we're going to return a button, and this button will have some class name of bg blue 700, cursor pointer, text white, rounded full, width 12, height 12, flex, item center, justify center, and in the focus outline none. That's it. And when we click on this button we're going to run our scroll to top. Then inside this button we're going to add a arrow up. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, and here you can see we have our button. If I click here it will go to the top smoothly, and you can see initially it's hidden, but when I start scrolling it appear to the screen. And let's check this in the dark mode. In dark mode it also visible. Awesome. So our scroll to top functionality is completed. Next we are going to add scroll animation to our project to make it more attractive. So if I show you the deployed version, if I reload the page, you can see we have animation. We have scroll animation in our website, which makes our website more attractive. So now we are going to add this animation in our project also. So for the animation, we are going to use a npm package. The package we are going to use is called animation on scroll. So if I search for AOS animation on scroll, and then go to their GitHub page documentation, here you can see that they have different types of animation: fade animation, fade right, fade left, fade up right, flip animation, zoom animation, and all of the others animation. You can use different settings for this animation, and the best thing is you just need to add this data AOS property to the div you want to animate, and it will automatically animate in the scroll when this div is in the screen. So it's very easy to use package. So I'm going to open their GitHub. If you want, you can learn more about in their documentation pages. So here first we need to install this package. So I'm going to copy this from here and I'm going to paste it here to install AOS, and we're going to configure AOS in our home.tsx. And first we need to convert this into a client component using use client. Next, what we need to do is we need to import this AOS and this style. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. And if I hover here, you can see we also need to install the type. So copy this type installation command from here and paste it here to install the corresponding type. Next, inside this home, I'm going to use a use effect hooks with empty dependency array, and inside this I'm going to create a init AOS, and we're going to use an async function, and inside this we're going to await import AOS. Then we're going to use AOS dot init, and we are going to pass some property. So here you can see they have different types of property that you can use. So I'm going to use some of the property here. So first is the duration. I'm going to use 1000 for 1 second. Then easing, I'm going to use ease. Then once will be true, and anchor placement will be top bottom. That's it. And then we're going to call the init AOS. Now I'm going to hit save. That's it. So this is our configuration. Now we're going to first add the animation to our hero section. So let's go to our hero section, and first we are going to add animation to this part, the available for opportunities text. So here I'm going to use data-aos and the animation name. So I'm going to use fade up here. That's it. So this is it for animating this available for opportunity. Then we're going to add animation to our H1. So here I'm going to again use data-aos, and I'm also going to use fade up here. But here I'm going to add another property, which is data-aos-delay. And here I'm going to use a 100 millisecond of delay. So what I want is first this element come to the screen, and after 100 millisecond later this element come to the screen, which will make it looks more attractive. That's it. Now I'm going to copy this two line. Next I'm going to add animation to this div, the typewrite div, and I'm going to paste the animation, and here I'm going to change the delay from 100 to 200, and I'm going to hit save. Next I'm going to add animation to our P, and here I'm going to paste the animation and change the delay from 200 to 300. Awesome. Next I'm going to add animation to our buttons. So here I'm going to paste, and here I'm going to use 400 millisecond of delay. If you want, you can change the animation name here. You can use the zoom in effect. If you want, you can use the flip animation here, but I'm using the fade up. So that's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I reload the page, you can see we have our animation. Awesome. You can see how easy it is to implement the animation using AOS library, and it looks much better. Awesome. Next we are going to add animation to our about me section. So let's go to our about. Before going to the about, I'm going to copy this to line. Now let's go to the about.tsx, and first we are going to add animation to the image content. So this is the image part, and here I'm going to paste the animation code, and here I'm going to use fade right. And for the first element, I'm going to use delay of 0. You can also remove this one if you want, but I am using 0 here. Then here I am going to add another property, which is data dash aos dash anchor placement. And for the anchor placement, I'm going to use top center for this one. So data dash aos dash anchor placement. That's it. So now I'm going to copy this 3 line from here, and next I'm going to add the animation to this content div. So paste it here, and I'm going to add a delay of 150 millisecond, and I'm going to change the fade right to fade left. That's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, so these are initial animation, and if I start scrolling, you can see we have our scroll animation for the about section. Awesome, and it looks great. Next we are going to add animation to the stats section. So let's go to our about, and I'm going to copy this 3 line from here, and then I'm going to add this to our stats. This is the stats div, and here I'm going to paste the code, the animation code, and here I'm going to change it to zoom in, and then the delay will be 300 milliseconds. Now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, so these are initial animation. If I start scrolling, this is our about animation, and then this is our stats animation. Awesome. So it looks great. Sorry, I scroll too fast. So this is about, and this is the stats animation. Awesome. Next we are going to add animation to our skills section. So let's go here. I'm going to copy this 3 line from here. Then let's go to the skill dot tsx, and here we have this skills section, and when we loop through the skills and we have this tip here, we are going to add the animation, and the animation we are going to use is zoom in. The aos anchor placement will be top center, and for the delay what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our index into 100. So this will be our delay. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I reload the page, so these are initial animation. If I start scrolling, we have our about animation, then we have our stats animation, then we have our skills animation. Awesome. You can see it looks amazing. If I show you again, initial animation, then we have our about animation, stats animation, then we have our skills animation. Great. Next we are going to add animation to our project section. So I'm going to copy this 3 line from here. Let's go to the project dot tsx, and here in this step I'm going to add our animation, and here I'm going to use fade up. So instead of zoom in, I'm going to use fade up. That's it. And the delay will be indexed into 100. Now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, so these are initial animation, and if I start scrolling, we have our about animation, we have our stats section, we have our skill animation, then we have our project animation. Awesome. Next we are going to add animation to our experience section. So I'm going to copy this 3 line from here. Let's go to the experience.tsx, and here at the first, so when we loop through it, we're going to add animation here, and the animation we're going to use is zoom in. So zoom in, that's it. So now if I hit save and go to our project again, and if I reload the page, so we have our initial animation, about animation, our stats, our skill section animation, then we have our project animation, and then we have our this experience section animation. You can see it looks amazing, awesome. And then we do not need to add animation to our client section. If you want, you can add animation here. Then we are going to add animation to our contact section. So I'm going to copy this 3 line from here. Let's go to the contact.tsx, and first we are going to add animation to our contact information in this div, contact information div. So I'm going to paste the code here. The animation we will use here is fade right, fade right, and for the first one the delay will be 0. So I'm going to copy this 3 line from here, and then I'm going to add animation to the contact form div. So here I'm going to add a delay of 150 millisecond, and this one will be fade left. So now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I reload the page, so these are initial animation. If I start scrolling, these are about, then these are stats, these are skill section, then we have our projects, then we have our experience section, then we have our get in touch section. Awesome. So our animation looks amazing. Let's check it again. So if I reload and if I start scrolling, you will see the animation looks amazing. So you can see our every section animate perfectly when they are in the viewport in the screen. You can see it looks more attractive than before. So these are client review, and then finally our get in touch. Awesome. So our scroll functionality works perfectly. So our scroll animation is completed. So we completed all of our functionality. Our project is now fully completed. We have all the functionality and section that we want in this project. Next, what we need to do is we need to deploy this project in the live server. So here we are going to use Vercel to deploy our project. But before deploying Vercel, we need to push our project in GitHub. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my GitHub account. This is my GitHub account, and here I am going to create a new repository, and I'm going to name it portfolio YT 2026, and I'm going to make it a private repository, and I'm going to create repository. Then go to our code. I'm going to delete one terminal, and I'm going to stop the terminal from running and clear the terminal. Here first I'm going to use git init, then git add dot, then git commit dash m, and then a message like fast. Then if I go here, so we use this git init, git commit, and git add. Next we need to use this git branch dash m main. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here and hit enter. Then we need to add the remote origin, so copy this and paste it here, and then we're going to push our project. So copy this and paste it here and hit enter. So this will push our project in GitHub. So it's completed. Now if I reload the page, you will see we have our code here. We have our constant, app, component, lib, public, and all the folders. Next, I'm going to open my Vercel dashboard. And if you don't have any account in the Vercel, you can create one for free. So this is my Vercel dashboard. Here, I'm going to click here to add new, and I'm going to add new project. And here you can see we already connected our Git to our Vercel, and that's why this is the project that we recently pushed in our GitHub. So I'm going to import it, and then I'm going to click here to deploy. If you want, you can change the project name from here, but I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to hit deploy. The deployment started. Let's wait some time to complete the deployment. The deployment is completed. Now I'm going to click here to continue to dashboard. Now here we have a domain and link. So if I click here, it will open our project in the live server, not in the local server, but in the live server. So here you can see it open our project in live server in the deployed environment. And in my system preference is dark mode. That's why the landing page open in the dark theme. So if I click here, it will change to the light theme. Awesome. And if I reload the page again, you will see our animation. If I start scrolling, you can see our every section looks amazing. We have our scroll animation. We have our projects, our this experience section, which looks amazing. And we have the client review. We can slide from left to right, right to left, or get in touch, or scroll to top. Everything works perfectly. If I inspect in our mobile view, we have our sidebar, and every section looks amazing in the deployed version, in the deployed environment also. So now you have a link that you can share with others. You can share it to your client to show your expertise in Next.js. You can add this to your resume. You can use this as your portfolio, and you can add more project to this portfolio and link it here. So now you have a deployed portfolio project. So finally, our project is done. We start from the scratch and we go all the way to the deployment. And finally, we have a deployed version of our portfolio. So this is it for today. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel for more interesting web development content. And thanks for today.